Hey, your head's up to this 5-minute quickie. And although I've called it Do You Walk the Walk, it was something in my mind. I heard someone say a sentence and it really started to bug me because it got me to think about myself and the things that I do. And I wanted to share it with you to see if, do we talk the talk, walk the walk, or what do we do? But it came at me from a different way. So please have a listen. It's only a 5-minute muse and I'm sure it'll be interesting. Well, I hope so. Have a listen after this. Hey, welcome to the Personal Development Unplugged podcast with me, Paul Clough. And this is an FMQ, a 5-minute quickie podcast, which never lasts 5 minutes. It always goes a little bit longer. But it's a chance for you and I just to muse, to think of a subject, to talk about it for a few minutes and then spend time thinking, seeing how it would change our life if we maybe developed it a little deeper. And maybe sometimes these 5-minute quickies will go into a longer podcast where we can dive deeper and produce processes, hypnosis processes, NLP processes. Don't worry about the names. They're just processes for making our life and your life absolutely better. Getting rid of anxiety, fear, all those other hang-ups and issues that we have, and have the life we deserve and make dreams come into reality quicker, bigger, better than you could ever dream of. But they're the longer podcasts, and this is a 5-minute quickie where we break down the complicated into simple, because in simplicity there's genius, and that's what we do here. So if you want to just think for a little while, see what happens. See what resonates inside you. And when it does, you go change the world.
This is Personal Development Unplugged with Paul Clough.
In simplicity, there is genius.
In simplicity, there is genius.
Hey, my friends, another 5-minute quickie. And I wanted to... I heard this saying... And I don't think I'm particularly religious. I'm not. And I don't know if you are, but it didn't matter to me because I heard this saying, and it was a comment, basically a comment about other people. But it got me thinking, and it was the saying I heard, or the sentence I heard was, "If you believe in God, act like you do." I thought, because this was about a comment about people who weren't acting particularly kind and particularly nice. And this I listened to this, I think it was a couple of months ago. And I made a note of it and I thought about it, put it on one of my little cards that I remember things by. And it was a guy now who, infamously, I guess, is being looked at very critically by, and whatever your views about him is, it's Russell Brand. Now, I didn't like him as a person. A long time ago, I thought he was a right dick. But lately I listened to bits and pieces and a lot of the things, a lot of sense. And I don't like the thing that you are guilty until you're proved innocent. But I think, so I'm trying to just put this in sort of context. So, but just think, if you believe in something, act like you believe in it, or act as you really believe. And I take this to be things like, don't just talk the talk. As you know, I get requests from lots of people wanting to be interviewed on this show. And they go, "Oh, Paul, I love your show. It's so good. And I've got this guest who has got this wonderful brand new book and they'd like you to interview them." And I go back and say, things like, well, if you'd seen the podcast or listened to the podcast, you'd know it's a solo cast. And every now and again, some people actually come along. So I offer them the opportunity to, and we've seen it in the past, longer episodes, just a few. Some people will come along and walk their walk. And they'll do a little 20-minute recording for us and we'll talk around it. Yana Alonso was the last one we had, lovely lady. Look for that on the longer podcast, and just a few longer podcasts back. people prepared to walk their walk because they believe in what they're doing. And I wonder, and it made me think, because I know it's a little bit like, I guess, with the 5 keys to success. Act as if, the last key, the 5th key. Act as if, but act as if with the psychology and physiology of excellence. And isn't that psychology having that belief and value and acting even sometimes under a little bit of pressure? That we do act in accordance with our beliefs and values. We don't let them go. And it just made me think that sometimes, do I really do it? And I thought for this 5-minute quickie, it'd be nice just to think. Well, it's nice to think that we walk the walk, but just sometimes think of the talk we talk. I just wonder, well, do I actually walk the walk? And if I did, what difference would that make? What difference would that make, Cluffy? Yes, what difference would that make? Yes. Because you would if you just walked the walk. So I really hope that maybe you can just see where your beliefs are. Sometimes, we squash them down a little bit. Sometimes we talk about being vulnerable, I guess. And it is a little bit vulnerable where you have to stand up for your beliefs and values. But when you do it, or I've seen it a couple of times by some friends of mine, and I saw one particular friend just in a conversation stand up and say, that wasn't a nice thing to say just then to another person in the group. And I thought that takes some kahunas to actually stand up and say, and he was right though. And I thought, I wish I'd have done that. And in future, I think I will. And I have. So it is just something to muse, because I think, that vulnerability, but it's also, we talk about alignment and being congruent with who we really are. And we know when we're fudging it, don't we? We know when we've kept something a little bit low. You do, don't you? You know when you keep it low. Because if you keep it low, snuggle down there, well, it's a bit of an easy life. And is it a stretch? Because we like a good stretch, don't we? I'm going to play with this forever. But we do like a good stretch. Because when you stretch your boundaries, not only does that boundary stretch, it's like the circumference of a circle. That's the way my mind works, and the metaphor that I've been given is the whole circle gets bigger. So you stretch yourself here and the whole circle gets bigger, which means you start exceeding in different areas of your life. Even though you exceeded in one and you stretch yourself in one, other areas of your life change, because maybe your self-esteem gets better, your confidence grows, your experiences, if nothing else, get more. And therefore you can really start walking that walk and talking that talk, doing both together. I hope that made sense, and I hope that you all just muse that. It makes me think. Sometimes it makes me a little bit upset with myself, but at least that's learning, and we've got to do better, because we can always do that little bit better. Remember that one more thing? We can always do and be a little bit more.
Warning, you are now leaving the unplugged mind of Paul Clough. It's time to fly on your own. Be brave, my friend.
Personal Development Unplugged.